The air was thick with smoke, oil, and fear. Ethan, a human soldier from Earth, walked slowly through the narrow streets of the alien city. The place was strange, filled with creatures he had never seen before, tall lizard-like beings, small, bug-eyed merchants, and robotic guards with red glowing eyes. He didn't speak much. He didn't make eye contact. He was on a mission. Or at least, that's what he told himself, but deep down, Ethan felt something wasn't right. He turned a corner and suddenly found himself in a dark alley. The sky above was covered by hanging cloth and metal sheets. The sun was gone. The light was dim. He had entered the underground market. There were no signs, no smiles, only whispers and chains. Slaves. Dozens of alien beings sat on the ground, shackled and bruised. Some were crying softly. Some were completely silent, eyes empty like broken glass. There were cages, collars, and auction boards. The prices were written in glowing numbers. Some were worth 500 credits. Some only 50. And then, in the far corner, he saw her. She was different. She was sitting on her knees, her wrists chained, her head bowed low. Her skin was a pale silver color with glowing blue marks running down her arms. Her hair was long and dark, covering her face. She looked weak, like she hadn't eaten in days. A loud voice shouted, "Only 5 credits for this one. She's broken. Weak, can't even stand." The seller was a fat alien with 3 eyes and a mouth full of yellow teeth. He laughed and kicked some dust toward the chained woman. "Useless, you want her? You feed her." Ethan was about to look away, but then he heard it, a soft voice, so soft it was like a dying whisper. "Buy my chains and break them, please." Ethan froze. He turned around slowly. The silver-skinned woman had looked up. Just a little. He could see one eye now glowing softly like the moon. There was pain in that eye, but also hope. "I'm sorry?" Ethan asked, confused. Her lips moved again. "Buy my chains, break them, and I'll give you strong children." His heart skipped a beat. What did she just say? He looked around. No one else heard. No one cared. Some laughed. Others ignored her. To them, she was just another piece of trash on sale. Ethan stepped closer. "What's your name?" he asked. The woman paused for a moment, then said, "Sira." He stared at her. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She just sat there, as if waiting for him to decide her fate. The seller shouted again, "Only 5 credits. Take her or leave her." Ethan looked down at the small credit chip in his hand. He wasn't here to buy anyone. He was only supposed to get supplies. But something deep inside him said, "Don't leave her here." Not like this. He had seen war. He had seen pain. But this was something else. "Why did you say that?" Ethan asked quietly. "Why would you give me children?" Sira looked into his eyes now. "Because I was made for that. My kind is dying. I'm the last of the fertile ones. They sell me cheap because they don't know what I carry." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. The seller stomped toward him. "Well, you buying or not?" Ethan stared at Sira. She didn't move. She didn't blink. But in her eyes, he saw something no one else in that market saw worth. He handed the credit chip to the seller. "Deal," he said. The seller laughed and threw a small control device at him. "Press the red button. Her chains will drop. But don't blame me if she dies tomorrow." Ethan caught the device. He pressed the red button. The chains opened. Sira's hands dropped to the ground. She didn't run. She didn't speak. She just breathed deeply, like someone feeling air for the first time. Ethan knelt beside her. "Can you walk?" Sira nodded slowly. She tried to stand, her legs shaking, but Ethan held her up. "We'll get you food," he said, "and rest, and answers." As they walked out of the dark market, the other slaves watched them in silence. No one clapped. No one smiled. But one thing was clear: something had changed. A man who came to buy tools had instead bought a life, and that life had secrets far bigger than Ethan could imagine. Asterisk. Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat on the cold metal bench inside his small transport ship, watching the alien woman rest on a folded blanket. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the dim light. She had curled up like a child, but there was nothing innocent about what she had said earlier. "Buy my chains, and I'll give you strong children." That sentence kept echoing in his mind. Why would she say that? It wasn't normal. Not for a slave, not for a stranger. And certainly not for someone sold for just 5 credits. He didn't know what to believe anymore. Suddenly she stirred. Her eyes opened, glowing faint blue. She saw him watching. "You didn't leave me," she said softly. "I could have," Ethan replied. "But I didn't." Sira sat up slowly, her body still. "Weak. Then I owe you." Ethan shook his head. "You don't owe me anything, but I need to know. Why did you say you'd give me children?" "Humans and your kind were not even the same species." Sira looked down. "That's what most think." "Then tell me the truth." She took a deep breath, then spoke. "I was designed, not born. My creators made me during the last great war. I was meant to carry life that could survive anything: disease, hunger, even the vacuum of space." Ethan blinked. "You were built to breed super soldiers?" Sira nodded. "But before they could use me, the war ended. Peace came, but my body remained. My people feared me, called me unnatural, so they sold me again and again." Ethan clenched his fists. "And no one helped you?" "No one ever stayed," she said, her voice flat. "Until you." For a moment, there was silence between them. The humming of the ship's engine was the only sound. Ethan felt anger rise inside him, not at her, but at the galaxy that allowed this. "How do I know you're not lying?" he asked. Sira looked him straight in the eye. "Cut me." "What?" "Take your knife," she said calmly. "Cut my palm, then you'll see." Ethan hesitated, then slowly took out a small blade. He walked over, gently held her hand, and made a thin cut across her palm. Instead of red blood, a silver-blue liquid flowed from the wound, glowing softly. It shimmered like liquid metal dot, and then the skin began to heal. Instantly. Within seconds. There was no cut at all. Ethan stepped back, stunned. "That's not natural." "No," she whispered. "But it is real." He sat down, overwhelmed. Sira continued. "My blood carries genetic material from more than one race. I was built to mix, to carry strength forward. Even with a human, you're saying we could actually—" Ethan stopped himself. "No, this is insane." Sira looked at him with calm eyes. "You don't have to believe it. But others will. And they will come for me. If they find out I'm with you, they'll take me." "Who are they?" "The ones who made me, and the ones who want to use me. For power, not family." Ethan stood up. "Then we're leaving this sector." Now, he walked to the cockpit and began setting coordinates for deep space. Sira watched quietly, her fingers gently touching the chain marks on her wrists. "Why did you really help me, Ethan?" she asked. He looked over his shoulder. "I don't know. Maybe because I've seen too many people left behind, and maybe because your voice didn't sound like a slave." Sira gave the faintest smile. Then the ship's alarm beeped a signal. Ethan ran to the control panel. A red light flashed. "What is it?" Sira asked, standing slowly. "We're being tracked." Her expression turned cold. "Then they found me." "How?" Ethan asked. Sira held up the small glowing mark on her collarbone. "There's a tracker inside me. They must have reactivated it when I was sold." Ethan cursed under his breath. "We need to remove it." But Sira's face had gone pale. "It's not that simple. If you try to cut it out the wrong way, it will explode." "What?" she nodded. "They would rather kill me than lose me." Ethan's mind raced. He had taken in a woman to save her. Now she could die in his hands or worse, be captured and used to create something terrifying. He looked at her. Then we find someone who can remove it safely, no matter what it takes. Sira smiled faintly again. You're strange for a human, and you're strange for a weapon, he replied. But inside, he knew the truth. She wasn't just a weapon. She was something more, something rare. And now she was in his care. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Ethan looked one last time at the spot where the tracker glowed beneath her skin. He had no idea what would happen next, but one thing was certain. She said she'd give him strong children. Now the whole galaxy wanted them too. The blood didn't stop glowing. Ethan stared at the vial he had taken from Sira's wound, just one drop, carefully collected. Now, even inside the sealed container, the liquid shimmered like it was alive. It pulsed, as if it had a heartbeat. Blue, silver, and soft white light moved inside it like a tiny storm. Blood is supposed to die outside the body, Ethan whispered to himself. But Sira's didn't. She sat in the corner of the ship's medbay, silent, watching him with calm eyes. Now you know, she said. I wasn't lying, Ethan nodded. You weren't. He had run every test his field scanner could offer, and what he found was impossible. Sira's blood wasn't just different, it was engineered. Part alien, part something else. It had strands that didn't match any species in known galactic databases, including human. And yet, it accepted his touch, his presence, his DNA. It responds to me, he said, confused. Yes, she said quietly. It knows. Ethan looked at her, really looked. This wasn't just some lab experiment gone wrong. She was designed to connect, to adapt, to mix with other life and build something new. Who made you, Sira? She looked away. They never gave me names, only numbers. What were you? Project Mother Forge, she said, as if the word tasted like poison. Ethan's eyes widened. That's a myth. A ghost story from the war. Some kind of breeding program. It was real, she said. And I was its final product. They didn't need more after me. Ethan felt the weight of her words. Why? Because I carried everything, Sira replied. All the strengths, all the resistance, the ability to birth the future. He sat down, stunned. So that's why they want you. Not just to study you, but to use you, she nodded. To breed armies. Children stronger than any soldier. Faster, smarter, loyal only to their creators. Ethan frowned. But they sold you like garbage. That's the irony, Sira said, almost with a smile. The ones who made me didn't expect peace. When the war ended, they had no more use for me. I was too dangerous to keep, but too valuable to destroy. So they sold me in chains, hoping no one would ever find out what I really am. Ethan stood up. He stared at the glowing blood sample again. If this gets into the wrong hands, it would mean war, Sira finished for him. A sudden beep interrupted them. Ethan rushed to the ship console. A message had been intercepted. Unknown. Signal. Scrambled code. He decrypted part of it. Subject Alpha located. Life signs confirmed. Prepare recovery team. Do not allow escape. Ethan's heart sank. They're coming, he whispered. Sira stood up slowly. Then we don't have much time. Ethan thought hard. We need help. I know someone, an old friend, now a rogue biologist. She might be able to remove your tracker safely. Can we trust her? Sira asked. No, Ethan said. But she hates the people chasing us even more. Sira smiled slightly. That might be good enough. Ethan turned back to her. But I need to know something first. These children you spoke of, the ones you could bear, are they real, or just a way to survive? Sira didn't answer right away. Then she walked forward, slowly, until she stood right in front of him. I don't lie to live, Ethan, she said softly. I survive because I tell the truth. even when no one wants to hear it. He nodded slowly. Okay, then let's survive together. He moved to the control panel and entered new coordinates. Destination: Zone 17, an outlaw sector full of smugglers, hackers, and broken scientists. Not a place for heroes, but maybe the only place left for people like them. As the ship began its jump through hyperspace, Ethan held onto the glowing vial. He didn't know if Syrah's blood would one day destroy the galaxy or save it, but one thing was sure: her blood carried more than life. It carried a secret the universe was never meant to unlock. The stars outside the ship weren't stars anymore. They were eyes. At least that's how it felt to Ethan as his ship approached the outlaw sector known as Zone 17. This part of space was dark, lawless, full of hidden weapons and broken promises. Here, everyone watched, everyone listened, and everyone wanted something, and someone was already waiting for them. Ethan's fingers moved quickly across the control panel. We have 1 hour before they track us again, maybe less. Syrah stood behind him, quiet but tense. If we don't get this tracker out of me, they'll find us no matter where we go. I know, Ethan said. That's why we're going to see her. Who? Syrah asked. He looked back at her. Someone I swore I'd never speak to again. The ship landed on a dusty metal platform orbiting a shattered moon. Old satellites floated around like ghosts. A massive station stood nearby, half laboratory, half scrapyard. Rusted, broken, alive, Syrah stepped off the ship and pulled her hood up. She looked weaker than before. The tracker in her body was hurting her more each day. Ethan guided her through dark tunnels until they reached a door marked only with a red handprint. No words. He pressed his palm on it. The door scanned him. A robotic voice said, "Welcome back, traitor." The door slid open. Inside stood a tall woman with robotic arms and silver goggles. Her hair was white, her smile cruel. She didn't look surprised. Well, she said. Ethan Cade, you finally came crawling back, and you brought a toy. Syrah didn't flinch. Ethan spoke calmly. She's not a toy, Dr. Vexa. She's the last Motherforge subject. Vexa's smile dropped. She stared at Syrah. Her eyes widened behind the goggles. Then she laughed. So it's true. They didn't kill you. They just threw you away. She needs the tracker removed, Ethan said. Can you do it? Vexa walked in circles around Syrah like a predator. It's fused to her spine. One wrong move and it'll fry her nervous system. But yes, I can remove it. Ethan sighed in relief. For a price, Vexa added. Ethan stiffened. Of course. What do you want? Vexa leaned in close. I want 1 drop of her blood. Just 1. Syrah's eyes narrowed. Why? Vexa smiled. To survive what's coming. Ethan looked at Syrah. She gave a small nod. 1 drop, no more. Then lie down, Vexa said, clapping her hands. The lab lights turned on. Strange machines came to life. As Vexa worked. Syrah's body trembled. Wires were attached to her skin. A sharp needle hovered over the spot where the glowing mark pulsed near her spine. Ethan watched from behind a shielded wall. Fists clenched. If you hurt her, he warned, I won't. Vexa said calmly. She's worth more alive than dead. The machine buzzed. A strange blue light flashed. Syrah screamed, but not in pain. Something else. Fear. Then the room shook. An alarm sounded. Warning, incoming ship, unauthorized, armed. Ethan ran to the window. A black ship approached at high speed, no markings, no lights, like a shadow with teeth. They're here, Syrah whispered. Vexa cursed. I need 5 more minutes. We don't have 5. Ethan yelled. Suddenly, the wall behind them exploded. A giant alien warrior stepped through the smoke-black armor, glowing red eyes, a weapon in each hand. Behind him, 2 more soldiers entered. They pointed their guns straight at Syrah. Subject Alpha, you will come with us, the lead one growled. Ethan didn't think. He fired his blaster one shot. 2 shots, 1 enemy dropped. Vexa screamed and ducked. Sierra rolled off the table, weak but alive. The remaining soldier shot toward her, but Ethan tackled him, the 2 of them crashing into a control panel. Sierra picked up a tool and slammed it into the soldier's helmet. Sparks flew. Ethan gasped. "Can you run?" "No," she said. "But I can fly." She jumped into the pilot seat of a nearby escape pod. Ethan followed her. Vexa shouted, "You fools! You'll lead them back to me." But Ethan only yelled, "Seal the door." The pod launched just as more soldiers entered the lab. In space, the escape pod zipped between asteroid fields. Sierra breathed hard, her hand on her neck. "The tracker, it's out." Ethan looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded slowly. "I felt it burn and then go silent. It's gone." Ethan smiled weakly. "Then we're 1 step ahead." "But not for long," Sierra whispered. She looked down at her hands, trembling. "I don't know who I am anymore," she said. "A weapon? A key? A future?" Ethan placed his hand on hers. "You're not a thing. You're not a plan. You're a person. And I'm going to make sure you stay free." Sierra looked at him for a long moment. Then she whispered, "Run. But don't run from them. Run with me." Ethan nodded. And for the first time since they met, they weren't just surviving anymore. They were choosing to escape together. The order was simple. If the subject escapes, erase the human. Ethan didn't know that yet. He only knew his name had just been added to the Terran Army's list of traitors, in a hidden shelter on a green moon. Ethan patched up the last cracks. On the escape pod, Sierra sat near the fire, wrapped in a gray blanket. Her skin had lost some of its shine. Her breathing was calm now, not shaky like before, but her eyes, they looked far away, like she was remembering something she didn't want to. "I found food," Ethan said, holding up a pack. "Not great, not terrible." Sierra didn't look up. He sat beside her, silence stretching between them like a wall. Finally she spoke. "They made me to be strong, to carry life. But they never made me to feel." Ethan stayed quiet. Sierra turned toward him. "So why do I hurt when you bleed? Why does it scare me when you're close to death?" He met her eyes. "Because you're not what they said you are." "You don't understand," she said softly. "I was just meant to function. A body, a tool. They gave me intelligence, but not purpose, not choice. And now?" Ethan asked. She looked at him. "Now I feel like I matter, but I wasn't supposed to." Back on the Terran flagship, General Harrow stood in front of a glowing screen, watching Sierra's image. "She was meant to be forgotten," he muttered. "And yet the damn fool activated her." A soldier stepped forward. "Shall we capture the human?" "No," Harrow said coldly. "We'll break him." Ethan's wrist chip buzzed. He checked it. Message received. From Earth Command status. Dishonorable discharge. High alert message. Return immediately. You are harboring dangerous biological property. Final warning. Ethan read it twice. Then he crushed the chip under his boot. Sierra saw the act and tilted her head. "What does that mean?" "It means," Ethan said, "we're not going home." She reached out and touched his hand. "Why are you still with me?" she asked. He gave a tired smile. "Because I never wanted a perfect soldier. I wanted something real." She looked down, then whispered, "I don't know if I'm real yet." "You're real to me," he said. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the trees outside. A high-pitched whine, growing louder. Ethan stood up fast, grabbing his blaster. "Hide!" Sierra slipped into a dark space under the pod. A drone appeared small, fast and armed. Ethan fired once, missed. The drone dodged, scanned the area, then launched a red flare into the sky. Ethan cursed. "They found us." Minutes later, 3 black dropships descended through the clouds. Boots hit the ground. Not just soldiers, hunters. Not from Earth, not from Syrah's people. These were mercenaries, paid to retrieve. One held a picture of Syrah's glowing mark. We get her alive, kill the rest. Ethan fired from behind the pod, pushing back the first squad. Syrah tried to run, but a dart hit her leg. She stumbled, falling hard. A soldier grabbed her by the arm. Ethan saw it and something inside him snapped. He charged, slamming into the soldier, knocking him back. Syrah crawled behind a tree. 2 more soldiers came forward. One raised his weapon. "Stop!" Syrah shouted. A strange blue light burst from her chest. A pulse of pure energy. The soldiers froze. Their weapons shorted out. One dropped, unconscious. Ethan stared in shock. Syrah was shaking. "I didn't mean to do that." Ethan ran to her. "What did you do?" "I don't know," she said, her voice weak. "It's never happened before." "You saved us," he said. "That's what matters." They ran through the woods, dodging gunfire, breathing hard. Rain started to fall. At the edge of a cliff, Ethan stopped. The pod was destroyed. No ships nearby. No shelter left. "We're trapped," he said. Syrah looked at him, eyes wide. "Then let me choose." "What?" "For the first time in my life. Let me choose something." She stepped forward, hands glowing faint blue. "I can stop them, but you have to promise me one thing." "Anything," Ethan said. She smiled softly. "Don't remember me as a weapon. Remember me as someone who mattered." Ethan grabbed her hand. "You're not going anywhere without me." And then they jumped off the cliff. Into the river below. Shots fired behind them, but missed. They vanished into the mist, carried by the current. Back at the battlefield, the mercenary commander picked up a shattered piece of Syrah's blood tracker. He stared at it, then growled into his gums. "We lost them. But they're not far, and next time bring more chains." Asterisk, the metal chains were gone. But the ones inside her mind still pulled tight. Syrah sat by a quiet stream, her silver skin still wet from the cold river. Her knees were drawn up to her chest. Her eyes weren't glowing now. They looked dull, tired. Human. Ethan sat a few steps away, silent, letting her breathe. They had escaped the soldiers. For now, but both of them knew it was only temporary. They were hunted by humans, aliens, machines, and maybe even time itself. But the real prison wasn't out there. It was in her. "I'm free," she said softly, without looking up. "But I still feel owned." Ethan turned to her, confused. "You're not. I broke your chains. We left the labs, the buyers, the markets. You're not property anymore." Syrah shook her head. "That's not what I mean." She placed her hand on her chest. "They didn't just chain my body. They built my mind to obey. They wrote silence into my thoughts, fear into my bones." Ethan's throat tightened. He didn't have words for that. Syrah looked up at him, tears finally falling. "Sometimes I still wait for a voice to tell me what to do." Ethan scooted closer. "Then I'll tell you something." She blinked. He said gently, "You don't have to wait for permission to be alive. You're not a thing. You're not a code. You're not some program running on old orders. You really believe that?" She whispered. Ethan nodded. "You saved me. More than once. You protected yourself. You chose to run. That's not a machine. That's a person." Syrah smiled, just a little. "Then why do I still feel broken?" Ethan reached out and held her hand. "Because broken things still remember their cracks. But that doesn't mean they're worthless." Night fell. They built a small fire and shared dried food. For the first time, they laughed just a little. Syrah tried to understand a human joke. Ethan failed to explain it. Somehow that made it funnier, but the peace didn't last long. Ethan checked his scanner. A signal was coming through. Weak, scrambled. From somewhere nearby. He turned the screen toward her. Message detected sender, unknown Sira. Please. If you're alive, come to us. Not all of us agreed. We're not your enemies. Sira's eyes widened. That voice. That's from my world, she said. Ethan narrowed his eyes. You think it's real? Sira paused. Maybe, but it could also be bait. Do you want to answer it? He asked. Sira looked at the fire. I want to know if anyone ever cared. If anyone saw me as more than a womb with legs. Enfin flinched at her words. Then he stood up and offered his hand. Let's find out, together. They followed the signal to an abandoned research dome hidden beneath the forest. The place was overgrown, half buried in dirt and roots. It looked like no one had entered for years, but the door opened with a hiss. Inside, old lights flickered on. Dust danced in the air. Sira stepped forward slowly. I trained here once, before they sold me. A voice echoed through the hallway. Sira. They both turned. A figure stepped from the shadows, an alien woman with similar silver skin, but older. Her face was marked with scars and wisdom. You remember me? She asked. Sira nodded slowly. Elder Mira. The woman walked forward and gently placed her hands on Sira's cheeks. I wanted to save you, I swear. But they locked me out of the program. Tears filled Sira's eyes. Then why now? Because you're not alone anymore, the elder said. You have someone with you, someone who didn't use you. She looked at Ethan and smiled. They sat inside a warm chamber lit by soft lights. Mira explained the truth. I helped design the Motherforge project. At first it was about survival, healing, strength. But when the war started, it changed. They turned it into breeding for power. Sira nodded. And I was the final result. Mira touched her hand, but not a failure. You're the proof that even the worst plan can create something beautiful. Suddenly alarms blared. Ethan jumped to his feet. Mira turned to the screen. They found us. Sira looked at her. Do you have a ship? Mira nodded. But it's slow. You'll have to run again. Ethan looked at Sira. We'll go together. But Sira didn't move. She stood still, eyes closed, heart racing. No, she whispered. Ethan grabbed her arm. What do you mean, no? I'm done running, she said. If I keep running, I'll always be afraid. And I don't want to live in fear anymore. Ethan stepped back, stunned. Then Sira opened her eyes and said firmly, It's time I broke the last chain inside me. She had never made a choice in her life, not when they bred her, not when they trained her, not even when they sold her. But now, standing between the past and the future, Sira was finally free to decide. Outside the research dome, enemy ships circled like hawks in the sky. Inside, Ethan loaded his blaster, ready to fight even if it meant dying. You don't have to do this, he told Sira. We can still run. Still hide. Sira stood tall, no longer trembling. No, I won't live like prey. Elder Mira placed a hand on her shoulder. If you stand now, they will never forget it. I want them to remember, Sira said, her voice calm but strong. Not who I was made to be, but who I chose to become. The doors blew open. 3 armored soldiers entered, faces cold, weapons raised. Behind them, a tall alien commander stepped forward, his voice sharp. Subject Alpha, he sighed. Return to custody. You were never meant to escape. Sira stepped forward, unarmed. I'm not your subject, she said. I'm not a number. I'm not your property. The commander raised his hand. You have one chance, submit, or we take you by force. Sira slowly lifted her arms, not to surrender, but to shine. Her skin began to glow, softly at first, then brighter. The glowing blood inside her moved, reacting to her emotions. Ethan's eyes widened. She's activating something. The soldiers stepped back, confused. Sira's voice echoed through the room. Not loud, but full of power. You built me to obey. You made me silent. But you forgot one thing. She took a deep breath. You didn't make my heart, I did. And with that, she pressed her hand to the ground. A wave of light burst outward, pure energy, blue and gold. The enemy soldiers collapsed, unconscious. The commander fell to his knees, holding his head. What is this? Sira walked toward him, glowing with strength. It's the one thing you couldn't program into me, she said. Will. Minutes later, silence fell over the dome. The enemies were gone. Some ran. Some were captured by Mira's hidden defenders. None dared fight again. Ethan stared at Sira in awe. You could have done that before, he said, breathless. Sira smiled. No, I couldn't. Why not? Because I didn't believe I was worth saving, she said softly. But you did, and that changed everything. Later, they stood outside under the stars. Mira handed Sira a small data crystal. This holds everything, the truth about your creation, the proof of what they did to you. Sira nodded. Thank you. But I don't want revenge. What do you want? Mira asked. Sira looked at Ethan. He stepped beside her. You still want to give me strong children? He asked, half joking. Sir, I laughed for the first time. Not because I was made to. Because I choose to, Ethan smiled. Then let's build something real. Weeks later, the galaxy was changing. The secrets of Project Motherforge were exposed. The labs were shut down. The ones who built Sira were hunted by their own people, but Sira didn't care about the news. She cared about the small home on a quiet planet, where she and Ethan now lived. Where no one called her subject, where no one chained her, where she finally planted flowers with her own hands. Instead of living in cages, one evening she sat near the porch, watching the sky turn orange. Ethan walked up behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. Regret anything? He asked. She shook her head. No. You ever think about what they wanted you to be? She nodded. Sometimes. And? Sira looked at him, eyes glowing faintly, not from her blood, but from happiness. I wasn't made to love. But I do. I wasn't made to choose, but I did. I wasn't made to live free, but I am. Ethan knelt beside her, took her hand. You broke your chains, he said. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Yes, but freedom wasn't the end. It was just the beginning.